I'm Milo Miller. This is April 15, 1981. And I'm interviewing George Train today, good friend of mine who lives here in Lindsborg at 408 Madison. George, we're glad that you would do this for us, and I'm sure we'll have a good visit. First, I'd like to ask you, where and when were you born?
I was born over in Marion, Kansas on the 5th day of May in 1908.
And how about your parents? Who were they?
Well, my dad was named Jim Daniels, and my mother was a Garrison, but I don't know her first name. I don't remember that. But that was my parents.
How about the family? Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I had 3 sisters and 1 brother. And one sister, of course, is left now. She's passed on. The rest of us are supposedly all living, but I have not seen, I don't remember ever seeing my youngest sister.
And you don't know where she is?
No way.
Are you in contact with any of the others at all?
All of them.
All of them?
All of them, yes. There's one of them that lives over in, my oldest sister living now, she's over at Fontana, Kansas, or which I believe lately, I heard from her not too long ago, and she had moved into Osawatomie, Kansas, where her children are living, because Earl, he passed away, her husband. And of course Ruth and Clarence, my oldest sister, they're both dead. My niece lives in Kansas City, and my nephew lives over in Marion, in the old home place there, what his mother and dad had.
And that's your blood family?
That's my blood family, that's right.
Now, as I recall, you're telling me your father died.
Yes.
When how old were you?
2 years old when he passed away.
And what happened to you then?
Well, I went and lived with my grandmother. Well, I guess not right away when Dad died, because my mother was trying, I guess, to take care of us, but then she left us. So we was all left alone, the family, and so our grandmother had to take us in and raise us. I was there for 2 years. My sister was adopted out, my oldest one. My brother and my other sister never were adopted, so they still went by the name of Daniels. And my youngest sister, I don't know nothing about her.
But you went to live with your grandfather and your grandmother?
Yes, in Marion.
On your mother's side?
Yes, because I don't know anything about my father's, relatives at all. Supposedly come from Tennessee, it's all I know.
And this was when you were 2 years old or a little older that you went to live with the grandparents?
That's right.
And how long were you with them?
Well, it must have been about 2 years old, because I would come out here to my home that I call home now. I was 4 years old, and I come out here. I imagine the grandparents was too old to take care of me, and so they was going to put me in an orphan's home out in New York City, the way I understand it, because this lady that come over there and got me, my grandparents had been to Lindsborg and placed out, anyhow they called it an orphan's train, that they brought them in from New York, from the orphanage, which is a few of the people here living here now have come on that train. And in McPherson and, neighboring towns, they put them off. And so when she did finally come over and got me to take up here, well, my parents, that I called parents, I tried to get a young boy, because they lost a boy. And
now this was the Trains.
That's the Train family.
That lived here, they farmed here near Lindsborg.
Yeah, they lived here, they were born here, they've been here for, well, since the Lutheran Church was born. Was built. That's how long they've been here. But anyhow, she came over there and got me, and I rode up to McPherson on the train. I can kind of just barely remember that, but what I do remember is when we come into Lindsborg, and on the jitney, they called it at that time, a kind of a commuter train or whatever you want to call it between Salon and McPherson, and they got off here at Lindsborg, and they met us from the old Brunswick Hotel on a, I call it a surrey, I don't know, a hack wagon or whatever you want to call it, with horses, and they took me up to the hotel, which is Brunswick Hotel, and there's where I met my mother and father.
That's where you met the Trains.
That's where I met the Trains.
That's when you became a Train.
Yeah, that's right. Well, a few years later,
what?
because they didn't adopt me right away, you know. They had, I guess they do that like they do anything else. You keep them on, you know, trial. I guess that's what you call it.
What nationality were you?
Oh, I'm German and Irish.
German and Irish.
But I tell you what I am now, though. I'm a Blaking and I'm a not a Smolending, but a Värmlänning. That's where I am now.
Okay. Well, you're in Lindsborg, and the Trains take you out to the farm.
Oh yes, yes.
And how did you accept that? Were you did you have a feeling of rejection, dejection, fear, happiness?
I was very rejected the first day. That I can remember at 4 years old, because I wanted to go with my father to the hayfield, because I liked. I can tell you later on why I like him, because he is the dad. Yeah. He always was. And but I couldn't go out there, so they put me out in the yard with a lady that was my helping mother, and they had me watching ducks and chickens all day, and I wasn't too excited. I didn't like that too well. I'd rather been out in the country with the men. But that I can remember that, but so plain, because it was terrible to get rejected the first day. Did you want to go home? No. I never wanted to go back. Oh, I still don't.
Yeah.
Because my home was out there on the farm. It always has been and always will be.
Where was that?
Well, it's about 2.5 miles east of Lindsborg, past the cemetery, over the big bridge, and a little bit north and up to the hill. It says Trains on the silos. If anybody ever goes by, they can see it.
Who lives there now?
Paul, which is, well, he's a cousin. He's my cousin's boy is what I'd have to say, because Emery and I are the same as cousins. Nobody's ever changed me from that. We've always been close. Mother and Dad raised Emery and Kenneth Train, because they lost their mother when they were young. Mm-hmm. Emery was 2, I believe, and
the farm is still in the Train family, although not that same family.
Not the same family, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have any brothers and sisters in the Train family?
Yes, I have one sister, which is Mrs. Hugo Sugarin. Irene Sugarin over here lives on it's Washington Street. And that was the only children they had. So.
And you went to grade school out in that area?
Oh, yes. I went to grade school just about a quarter mile east of the house, so I could run up there when I got getting late, or I even run home for dinner a lot of times and ate. But I didn't like that, because I wanted to play ball.
What'd they call that school?
Train school.
Train school.
I think it was, they always went by that name, I know, but I think it was Kentucky. Not Kentucky Creek, just Kentucky School. City Kentucky Creek is up south of that.
How many pupils?
Well, it differed. I think the most that I can remember in school is about 28 in this one-room school, and I think the least we ever had when I went to school was about 9. And what the difference was that Lamer's Ranch is in that, and they had different people come in and worked with families. So sometimes, we'd have maybe 5, 6, 7 kids come from this Lamer's Ranch alone, with 2, because I think there was 3 families usually in there. So that made the difference.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it wasn't back in the old days.
One teacher.
One teacher.
One teacher.
Yeah.
Where did she live out there?
Lots of times she stayed up at home, because they roomed out then. They paid about $20 a month for room and board then. I don't know if they can get by with that today, though, very good.
Looked to me like you had kind of an in there. You had the teacher right at home. You could study in the evenings and
That was no good.
No.
I can tell you that for sure. That's no good. No.
What recollections do you have of those early years in school? Any specific experiences that you'd like to share with us?
Well, offhand, I don't know. See, I started in with Edwin Anderson. He was my first grade teacher, and I was there with him, but I was sort of real short, still am, but I couldn't see the top of the desk, and so I had to sit in his lap. That's one thing, and I always liked him too for it. And then my 8th grade teacher, he brings kind of, I liked him real well, which is Elmer Nelson. He lived over by Bridgeport. His Elmer's brother was the president or cashier, run the bank of this area for quite a while. But it was a real nice family and good teachers. Kind of taught you a lot how to live.
But I understand that you also had some school in the summer.
Yes, that was Swedish School. We had a teacher that taught there, and which was one of the Bankson, Herman and Vivian Bankson's sister, Anna Bankson, taught that. So I went 2 years to that. That's where I started to learn to talk Swedish. I can't write it, but I can talk it and understand it. But I went 2 years. I went through the 2 books, first on the läsarboken, that I went through. So I can talk it pretty good. And of course, Grandma and Dad, they taught me a lot. My grandma, Dad's mother, she lived over in Lindsborg when I was a kid, where Doc Murphy's house is now, or that's with the home, her home. And I'd go down there, and she taught me to drink this stuff too. I'd sit in her lap and dip rusk in her coffee until she put a cup out for me after a while. So
they took an Irishman and made a Swede out of it.
That's right.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, during those years in grade school, did you ever have the kids say anything about you being adopted or connected with the orphans or anything like this?
No, I honestly never did. They treated me as square and fair as anybody ever could. Not my cousins or any of them today, which is cousins here. Anytime they've had anything with a relation, I'm there. I've always had an invite. And my uncles are great. My aunt was great.
That's great. I think that's wonderful for those people. Yeah, because generally it comes out every once in a while.
Well,
and
yeah, that's right. But
I'm
you know, I
glad
think, my own personal opinion, that I think Lindsborg isn't like that. I think maybe if I was in a city or a different place,
Yeah.
people here aren't, I don't think, do that.
that's
I hope I'm
probably
right.
Back in those days, it was World War I. Do you have any recollections of World War I? You probably were about 10 years old or something.
Well, something like that. The only thing I can remember is that, I was down and out on Kaiser Bill because Dad was against him. That's about all I can. And then, of course, people had worked for Dad and they went to service, and it was kind of, something like that. Paul Olson had worked for him, and Arvid Sander had worked for him, and they went to service. Nils Grossman, which I always called him Uncle Nils, he worked for Dad, but he went overseas. And that's about all, I could say that really stuff
really
that I can remember,
Yeah.
real well about it.
How did you get back and forth to town in those days?
Missouri, tied the horses out on the north side of the Lutheran Church, and there's where, like that then.
Did you?
We sold the milk there.
You got through grade school, high school.
1 year later than graduating on the ones I started with. I told you I went through Bethany in 15 minutes, but that was just a stairway and down again.
But you went to high school here in Lindsborg.
Yeah.
And did you take part in any of the high school activities?
Oh, I played 4 years of football, played 3 years of basketball, run track for extent of first 2 years.
Yeah?
Well, and then after that, we got a neighbor out there. Him and I were about the same age, and I rode with, that was Lawrence Gabrielson, and I rode with him for a year. Of course, then when I was a senior, he had graduated, went to Bethany, and so I drove my own Model T Ford with the box behind without any top. Yeah, and rain or snow, but it was nice. It was a little faster than the horse. But it went all right.
How'd you get along with the high school superintendent or the principal or whatever you called them in those days?
Well, I got along fine, I guess you'd say. Olstead was my principal. I'd say that he was an awful good teacher. Sody, I think he was the greatest I've ever seen or ever had. I was on the school board with him for quite a few years after I graduated and got married and was out of school. But I think Sody's one of the greatest men I ever met. I'm going to say that. I'll never
So we know who Sody is.
Well,
this was Laverne Soderstrom.
Yeah, but it's Sody to me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was great. He did a lot of things for the kids that a lot of people maybe don't know about. He
and you feel that Sody maybe had a real impression on you in your high school days?
Yeah, he did. That's right.
That's great.
He was meek, but he had what he wanted. He made the statement, and that's what it was, and that's fine. I'll abide by that any time, if they give me a reason. That's what the principal or superintendent wouldn't do, and so we didn't get along as well as Sody and I did. But that's the one I could go to afterwards. He was the principal, and he very, very great.
Do you have any thoughts on the education that is being given today, or compared with the education that you received back in your day?
I think that as a whole, I think you get better education. But I don't know that there's a lot of things that change. Yeah. I don't, they did take all these schools, which I know that cost money to run them. But I still think you can get a good education if you get the right teacher in a one-room school. Now, I do. I really mean that. I still say they got better advantages now in that. But they worked really hard. I don't know anything about, because I didn't go to school in town school. I never did, more than high school. But I thought that, you take some of the, pretty smart people that's come from one great school and done real good. And, of course, you see there's a difference here too. I know it's easier maybe out in the one country school because the teacher has more time with each individual, say, which sometimes they don't, sometimes they do, if it isn't too many. But now our school was never that crowded. But you take a school like they have in Lindsborg, and they run up to 25, 30 kids, that's too many. That's my theory. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. See, what's my theory? I don't think they can take individual and give each individual as much time, and I think that's a lot. And then, of course, vocational education, I'm great for that, because we put that like farming over at the high school. I was on the board at that time, and I'm still in shop. See, I like that. I think that's good. You teach a kid a vocation or something, and he can do, if he isn't smart in books, he maybe can go out and make a living. See, that's what I think is great about that.
Did they have any discipline problems in high school?
Not with me. I mean, them.
Are you bragging?
No. They had trouble with me. That's what I was meant to say. Maybe they had trouble with me because I like to go fishing and I like to stay home once in a while, and I didn't have an excuse from home. But they knew that. They found out. That Sody kind of put me straight on that. He talked to you. He had a lot of common sense. Let's put it that way. No, I liked him.
Well, that's pretty good. Well, now you're out of high school and you're just about 20 years old.
Yeah.
And you're maybe feeling like you ought to do something else or get out and do something on your own or something like that. What did you do when you got out of high school? Did you go back and farm that summer?
I farmed all the time. I can say I helped Dad farm all my life because I milked cows when I went to grade school. I milked cows in high school. When I got to high school, I started helping Dad farm, which I had done before in 7th and 8th grade. But I thought it'd be kind of fun. I know when I graduated, that was in 28, I thought it'd be fun to see what the other people was doing. So I started to follow the harvest up, but it got too late. I did all the plowing first. And then we took off with a friend of mine from out here, Dwight City, which his name was, wait a minute, maybe I can't even remember. It's Parker. Yeah, that's it, George Parker. No, Earl Parker. George was his brother. But we went up to Dakotas after harvest. So we got up to around Bismarck just about the time harvest was starting. And he was in the haying, so we didn't do much harvesting. I just harvested one day up there. I run a tractor because I'd been running tractors for Dad at home then. But otherwise, we was in the hay field, and we worked there in the filling station. Afterwards, I did. I worked in the hay field till his tractor broke down. Then I fixed it for him, and then he said I couldn't go back to the hay field. I worked in his shop on his Fords and tractors. So I worked there then until, it must have been in, about September, I guess, or October. We was just finishing putting up hay and stuff, and then Mother and Dad bought the farm, and I got a letter from him, and wanted me to come home, or wanted to know if I'd come home and help Dad, because he'd bought the place. We'd been renting it from his brothers and sisters before that. And I said I would, and all I ever wrote home was a postcard that they'd taken a picture of me when we were stacking hay, and I wrote on it underneath of that, under the stacker coming home, and that's all Mother and Dad heard from me while I was up there. When it was kind of a short letter, but they knew I was coming home. So when I did that, I crawled on a train when I comes out of Montana over into St. Paul. I rode.
What kind of a train did you ride?
It was actually it was a freight train with a lot of stock on it. There was a lot of sheep. So it was cold up there then, but they were good to you up there, at least if you're only one. They put me in the caboose at night so it wouldn't freeze while I was going into St. Paul. And then I got into there, and I got up another freight down to there, going down into Kansas City. That went pretty good, but I didn't go so good to get out of Kansas City. I tried to get on the freight. That was, 3 times they throwed me out. So then I bought a ticket to come home.
Those railroad dicks in Kansas City.
They got tough.
They got tough, huh?
Yeah.
You had to ride home in style. Then.
Yeah, I rode home in style. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Why did you really come home? Was that because they asked you to come home, or were you getting a little homesick?
No, Dad asked me to come home. I'd help him out.
So you came home and...
I came home to help him, and I stayed home until he passed away in 34. I stayed with him all that time, helped him with the farm. And then after that, Dad died, but then Kenneth and Emery, which was Newt's boys, they started taking over on different, taking over. So, and of course, then I got married, after that. So,
that was a couple of years, though, after that.
Yeah, it was 2 years. But I had to go see her.
Yeah.
I couldn't get
So you came home and you worked on the farm for almost 8 years there, helping your dad and mother, and they were buying the farm.
That's right.
So you really had a part in the purchase of that farm for your dad and mother.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lost your dad.
Mm-hmm. Then I lost.
Now, did you feel a real growing up during this period? Did you change from the time you came back from North Dakota?
Oh, I think maybe you could say you changed some because I went coming home to Dad. He'd let me have a little say-so about different things and how would things like that. I never got any money because all the money, it was no money back in them days. All the money Dad would give me if I wanted to go to town, for like Saturday night or something like that. I'd have spending money. I never had to go to town broke, but money was tight in 34, 35,
yeah.
36.
Yeah.
It was tight. So that made
This was the beginning of the Depression era.
the dirty 30s.
When you came back, well, even in 28,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
was the beginning.
Yeah, that's right.
And tell us a little bit about the problems on the farm in those days.
Well, the drought was it, the year that Dad passed away, him and I, I believe we had about 80 head of cattle. And when you was come to cut your corn and your feed, there was none there. Like my cornfield, I cut that with a wheat binder, which the stalks was never over, I doubt very few of them was over 5 foot tall, and we thrashed, of course. Then we didn't have combines, so then we thrashed, and I had to take the straw and get molasses and mix with water and feed them straw until bring them over the winter. And that was kind of rough work. And it went good when Dad was home because I could ask him questions. When I missed Dad is when he had passed away, and I wanted to know an answer, and I had nobody to ask. That was worse.
That's when the decision making started in your life.
That's
the
right.
real decision making.
If I was supposed to make living for Mother and help pay for the farm, and that was tough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because Dad always took care of that. He'd tell us, figure out what we was doing and everything like that. Then that changed that.
Sometime during this time, there was a teacher that stayed there with your dad and mother that taught at the train school. You became acquainted with her. I believe her name was Agnes, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, her name was Agnes Almquist. That's right.
And I suppose that you were a real kind son and so forth, and took her back and forth to town. And
No.
You didn't?
No. I'd take her to town, but I never took her home. No way. Because I had other business in town then. I didn't have the time for taking her home. No, that didn't go on for, I don't know how many.
Did you have your own car then?
No, I had Dad's. We only had one car. We were too poor to have two. And I couldn't afford to buy one, so we just drove that. And if we all had to go someplace, you'd ride to town, maybe get out and find your own way home or walk home. I've walked home from town a lot of times because I wasn't ready to go home when the folks were. So it made a difference.
But during all these years of growing up, from the time you came there until you were working there in 1930s and so forth, as I understand, your parents were faithful churchgoers.
Oh yes,
the Lutheran church here.
No, Lutheran church.
And they took you along. You were raised in the Lutheran church.
I was baptized in this church. I wasn't married there because Agnes was she's from this area, so we was there. But we still had our preacher was there. He was there with us.
But you were confirmed here in the
confirmed here.
Bethany Lutheran Church.
That's right. And as soon as we were married, I belonged down here. I've been here ever since. So.
When you were a young man, did you ever rebel against the church, being?
No, I don't think so.
Going regularly?
No, because I had to go regular to church, and I had to know my lessons because I couldn't go to town Saturday nights if I didn't know my lessons. So I had to know them for Sunday in the catechism. And no, I don't think I ever did. I think that Dr. Regine was he was here when I come here, that I can remember. I can't remember any other one but Dr. Regine, and I always thought, I thought he was Jesus Christ. I mean that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I really did. I thought that was church, So, no, I don't say I go every Sunday. If I want to go fishing, I might go fishing, But we go. I try to help do my share of the church.
Yeah.
And Tim too. Mother and I work. Mother works more than I do. But we take care of the communion on the Sundays. Enough now. We got 4 couples instead of just one. so it divided up. And Mother, she's with the Ladies Society, and I don't belong to any other organization, but the Rural League, I got to belong there though. That's fun. I enjoy that. See, that used to be the old Luther League out in the country.
But you've kind of jumped over a lot here and haven't said much about. There was this teacher that stayed out there, and her name was Agnes, but you didn't have anything to do with her. You wouldn't even take her home from town when you brought her in.
No.
Well, somewhere along the line that must have changed.
Yeah, I don't know how far back difference that was, but it was in the dirty 30s, because on the first time I took her home, it was on a Palm Sunday, and it was dusty and windy. I'll tell you for sure, you couldn't hardly see. But I don't know if it was more on a dare, because it was a good friend of mine. He says, "Why don't you ask her to take her home?" I said, "Oh, she won't go with me anyhow. She used to live out there." And so, but I did, and darn it, she accepted. I kept her after that.
So you kept taking her home?
Yeah, I kept taking her home. I always take her home.
She was from this area?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. She taught school in this area.
Oh, I see.
But she went to church in this area, but she lived in Hallville, the big town of Hallville. One grocery store, and they had a Lutheran church, country church, something like, they had church on Sunday afternoons in schoolhouses like Swedish and that's what it was there. But they had a chapel up there.
Where was that?
At Hallville, which is just, let's see, what would that be? Well, from here, it would be about 6 miles, wait a minute, I got to go 7 miles east, and then I'd say about 4 miles north of where we live, or Lindsborg,
Mm-hmm.
and up there, and Hallville's right on their place. And
but when she was teaching up to us area, then you began to go up there instead of come into Lindsborg.
Oh yeah.
Saturday nights.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd go to this area. I'd go to Hallville and then this area, and Sunday nights I'd be there too. Yeah, that was church.
When were you married?
No, I was married in 1936 on August the 5th.
That's when you left the home farm, started for yourself.
And helping at home.
And you still helped at home.
Now for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Then after that, then we split. You couldn't. Well, you see, I had to. I got another child. My first one was born. I had to quit and go out and work and make a living for the three of us. But worked. I farmed a mile east of Lindsborg, in the corner house, just catty corner, just 1 mile from city limits out there on that farm right by the river. And I farmed there for 3 years, 36, 37, let's see, it'd be 37, 38, 39, and 40 I moved out the place I bought over there in the creek.
How'd you get along with this first home, though, that's on this side of the river?
It was no good. I lost 3 crops, and so that's why I moved.
How'd you lose them?
Well, I got drowned out with a river twice, and they called it black rust got me the other time. So, and then wheat was only worth, I sold the wheat that I did raise for about 27 cents a bushel, and that didn't make very much money. So I had to go and work besides. I worked in town, the elevator, and that was Uncle Dave, my uncle, Dad's brother, run that, so I worked there. And I got 6 bits an hour. That was good wages,
Yes.
Hauling coal, filling box cars with wheat, unloading grain, unloading sacks, a little bit of everything.
You pretty good at scooping coal?
I was, yeah. The best day I had was 22 tons load and unload. So I made a pretty good day's work. Yeah. But it was pretty late at night when I got home, but they were out of coal. Well, I don't know don't remember the name of them, but I know they lived on North Main. I know that, and I had to back up there, and it was practically dark, and unloaded 5 ton of coal before I went home. Never forget that day. They could have called me in the morning. And it made a difference.
Then when you lived out there on this first place, how many children were born there?
2. 2 boy and a girl. Carl And then Donna Lee, the girl, she's the oldest, and then Carl. And then after we moved over to the other place, why, we had one, Steve. He's the baby in the family.
You moved out farther east?
Yes, about 2.5 miles east of that place. So that'd be 3.5 miles east and about a half mile up to the farm.
Now you're getting right along into the area of World War II.
That's when
Were you a little bit worried about going?
I wasn't worried about it because I had 2 kids, but my neighbor was, because I'd been helping Reuben Johnson, which was my neighbor, all the time. And harvest time come, and they wanted me to go up because we had a boy hired, which was Edmund Levine down here, and he run the tractor, and he had to go to service. So we tried to go up and get him out, and we didn't have any luck. And I don't know, I guess I said something maybe I shouldn't have said up there, but I said about going to war. I said, needing him for farming. And he said, the guy out there told me to be, well, he said, if you don't have enough credits, you can go too. And he said, why don't you go out and get a bunch of pigs, a brood sow, so you don't get more credits? I said, if it took a damn brood sow to keep me out of the service, I'm ready tomorrow. But I didn't get Mom didn't like that, my wife didn't like that, neither did my neighbors. But I didn't have to go. So
you kind of settled down a little bit, and
I cooled off a little bit, but it made me mad. But then, no, that...
Any recollections you have of World War II that would be interesting?
Well, the only recollection, my brother-in-laws, I had 2 brother-in-laws in the service. One was in not Vietnam, I don't know, it's over in the Aleutian Islands. No, Aleutian Islands up north. That was my other brother. That was, her other brother was up there, but he was up there during that spell, and he was down around, Philippine Islands, and I think he made 7 beachheads before and he's one that's in Kansas City. He's not so good anymore. So it's affecting him now, and too bad.
When you started to farm for yourself, and you had a family, do you recall any thoughts you had that I'm joining the older generation? I'm getting old here.
Well, I'm thinking that now anyhow. But I never did on the farm. I was always busy.
Yeah.
I never come up to, well, yes, I'd say what I always thought my dad was old, but he's only 62. Say, gosh, I'm old. If I thought my dad was old, then I wonder what my kids think I am now, because I'm quite a bit over that.
Do you remember when your dad was anything but old?
No, I can't say that, but otherwise, no, now I'm start feeling that I'm old, I really do.
But don't
when I
you
play with my great grandkids, I know I'm old.
Don't you think your kids probably thought about you way back there as old?
Sure, I think they do. Yeah, I think that's, a natural thing. I really do.
Yeah.
Because they're younger, they got different ideas, they got more energy. When you get this age, that energy don't stay with you so long. No, that's right.
When you'd been married there for 3 or 4 years and moved up to the other farm and so forth, do you remember any difference in your way of thinking than when you were helping your dad there and going up to North Dakota?
Sure.
And
you do, because you you're taking on responsibility of your family. It makes a lot of difference. Because you stop and think, is this the right way to make the most out of it? For better living, because very few people that don't like to make a better living for their family, if you can. And that was and I always wanted an education. I mean, we couldn't afford it when I could go to school or college, but I always wanted to get my kids an education, and I did pretty well on that.
Now, your oldest daughter,
She never wanted an education. She got married and went to France.
that was after she was out of high school.
Yes, that's right.
She
Yeah,
married a
married
man in the service.
Yes. And then Carl, he went to Bethany. He had 4 years here. He had 6 years. He had 6 years down in Manhattan. Now he's up at Southeast University of Missouri teaching. I don't know what you call the stuff. I know he took it under Bellon, and afterwards, and I think it's professor of biology. He's got his doctorate degree.
Now, he has his doctorate, right?
Yes.
Your oldest son.
Yeah, he had that before he started teaching up there. I know that cost money.
Yes.
That had to help with that. But that's fine. If I don't give them anything else, they got an education. And Steve, he went 1 year here, and then he went up to Kansas State, and he went through he graduated out of Kansas State.
Now, along in here, perhaps comes one of the saddest days of your life.
Yeah, my boy got killed, shot down in Vietnam.
Yes, those were sad days.
And he supposedly got shot down in April. And they told us on our wedding day that he was killed.
But you know, you had some tapes from your son in Vietnam. And what was his feeling towards the war itself, or what he was doing?
Well, he said that he thought that he was over there for a good cause. He said a lot of them don't, but he says if you'd come over, because he'd always liked kids. He really did. I mean, younger kids, you know. And that he got to go out on Christmas, and he took him and what he called the Red Cross, or the nurses who was there, he always called them donut dollies, and then he took his transport and flew over someplace, and they give these kids candy and donuts and stuff like that. And he got a buzz out of that. He sent pictures of that home, so we got him at home someplace. I don't.
Now, he was a pilot.
Yeah, driving what he was flying was a cargo plane, you know, that hauled hauled everything, ammunition. Well, he even said to haul cows in it.
Yeah.
But he said he didn't like that because it was too hard to clean his plane up afterwards. He didn't like that a bit. On that tape, I'll never forget when I read that tape. By the way, I'd die laughing. It was funny.
But you and Mrs. Train were left alone then out there on the farm. The children had all gone. You continued to live on the farm. And by the way, you bought that farm after 10, 12 years or so.
I rented it for about that long, then Mom and I bought it. See, I guess we bought that in, I'm around 47.
You know.
Something like that, about the time Stevie was born. Because he's 7 years between him and Carl.
In a couple of years or so, you rented the farm, moved to town. Moved to this 408 Madison, where one of your good friends had lived for many years. You bought the house.
Bob Claycomb, I bought his house. Well, I helped build it in 60. And I said, I told Leland Olson, who I was working for, and I said, someday I hope I can own this place. So I did. I bought that. And Mother and I are both satisfied.
But how in the world could you leave the farm out there where you were busy every day of the week?
I still own it, but I could leave it.
Yeah, but
I got a good renter.
You don't have the work to do.
Oh no, but I'm working with this crazy stuff. That's my playhouse.
When you came into town, you built a shop on the back of the house, right?
I built a shop out on the farm, and they wouldn't let me take it to town, so, well, it's hard to take it to town anyhow. But anyhow, then I built the shop on the back of my house.
You got a saw, a lathe.
Well, I got anything.
Drill press.
I got everything that I need. Sanders and routers.
And you make this?
Yes.
All of it?
Yep.
And put it together?
Yes. Paint
Yeah.
I didn't paint the horse though. I had
You didn't paint the horse.
No, Mrs.
Now you carved that out.
Yeah. Well, this I didn't carve out. I carve it to effect, but I run it on my sander or my drill press.
I see.
And the horse I carved out. That's Spit and Whittle Club.
Yeah.
That's what I did this winter.
But you don't paint them.
No, I don't like to paint. I painted the trees and things, but not that. No, that's for somebody that's got a steady hand.
Now, do you sell these?
Oh, they're on for sale, yeah, uptown, but I don't sell them. See, my neighbor, he likes to get in on something like this, and he's an old storekeeper uptown, and I told him if he wants to get in on it, well, he sells them. If he wants to sell them, I don't care if he sells them.
But you don't make this to
make
get
a living?
money.
No, I tell you.
You do it because you love to do it.
Sure. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I get all kinds of help, and neighbors come over, and I do things for a lot of people that I don't ever get 5 cents out of, but I think it's fun. Something that's hard.
Let's see a couple of those other items that you have there. How about that bowl?
No. That's solid walnut. That's native wood.
That's solid walnut?
Yep.
And put together pieces?
Pieces. And, well, actually, I put it together in a disc.
Yeah.
In each disc, and then I put it on
the lathe.
Lathe and turn it. I don't know. I made a few of them. I don't know how many. Christmas trees like that one. I don't know. I guess I've made over. Oh, it's close to 100.
How about those bookends? Let's see a couple of those.
This is, and then of course I don't buy too much lumber. The only lumber I ever bought was I bought about 1,000 board feet of that for $100. So I didn't do bad on that. That's mahogany. But I pick up all kinds of scrap lumber, and then oh, here you gotta have. Is it the year of the pig, or was that last year?
Oh my!
That come from the pattern. Come from I go and get patterns from different people. Now this pattern here, Christmas tree, is wait a minute. I'll think. Jernberg. He's an old man. He was in Swedish they call him en finsnickare, but which is a cabinet maker in English. You know, I mean that's what it amounts to.
What they call him?
Finsnickare.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, now you understand. But that's his pattern. I got the boards, his patterns at home. I bought that at the sale when he got them from Anderson. You know, Joe Anderson, he was a carpenter here in Lindsborg, and he had them. So when he had a sale, I bought them. So the pattern is from the old country. Now that's my own pattern.
Yeah.
This one over here is my own pattern here. I had some things.
Set it right up here in front.
I had some things for
That's just natural
Marilyn. Let's see, it'd be Marilyn Spongberg, which is Ray Hahn's daughter. Because Ray is my neighbor, and she wanted me to make some horses, and she drew a pattern. So and she wanted to know what I'd charge her to make. You know, I cut out a thing, and she wanted to make it, and she made these horses. And so I said, well, I wouldn't charge her anything for doing it if I could take the pattern. So that's where I got the pattern.
Now, you make some furniture too.
Yes, I got a spinning wheel that I made from solid walnut. It took me about 2 months to make that, I think at least. And I made tables. I make all kinds of tables, you know. And then whatever you call them, put flowers on pedestals, and. Book racks. I made flower stands for Mother and my daughter. I make most of it for the kids.
Yeah.
The kids, between Carl and Donna Lee, they keep me busy. But it just...
Well, you don't keep busy all the time, though, out in that shop. You do other things.
Out in the shop?
I mean, you don't just stay in that shop all the time. You have other recreation, too.
Oh, well, I go fishing.
Sure.
Yeah, I do that. No, I don't. I never go uptown for coffee, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
No, I used to. When I was out in the country, I'd be in town every day. I'd have coffee. Now it takes, well, I've been uptown to bakery 3 times since I moved to town. It's getting close to 3 years, right? I used to be there every day. I don't. I drink coffee with mother. It's more fun.
Okay.
No, I got the coffee pot on when Mom's home.
And you live right across the street from
the
Bethany
old
home.
people's home, yeah.
And you've got some good friends over there.
Real good friends, you bet I have.
And you visit them.
Oh, not every day, but pretty near. Yeah, Jennings Erickson is one of them, and Joe Brunsell's another one, and Mrs. Carlson from up here at Selensburg is a lovely old lady. She's the cutest thing that ever walked. And and I know Butch real well, and I know Turner, and I know...
You perhaps should tell who Butch is.
Well, Butch, well, that's his son-in-law who it is, and his dad was a butcher in town for a long time. That's when then Butch was one of the football players at Bethany, and his brothers were too. And then that's Carlson, Butch Carlson.
Now that's Bill Carlson that you're talking
right.
about, who's administrator at the home.
Oh, he's the administrator, yes, that's right.
So you keep busy here in town, not only with your woodworking, but you help over at Bethany home when
I made all the horses for the the main plates at the home.
At the cottages?
Yeah, I made all the boxes that they hung up on the trees uptown, or on the post to put the flowers in.
Yes.
I cut all of them out, and I help here and there if they want me. If they don't tell me I have to do something, I'll do it, but if they tell me I have to, I won't. Because I don't want to be tied down to nobody. I just want to do what I want to. Enjoy it. So that's the whole setup.
For all these years now, we've gone through the hard times and so forth, and you, I guess, have aged. We've talked about it here from the time you were in grade school until now. Do you really feel like you're getting old?
Yes.
You really do?
Yeah. But I can't work that way anymore. I used to could work 15, 20 hours a day, but I can't do that anymore.
No?
No, I can't. No, I've run the tractor for 20 hours a day, mowing one day out. Because I farmed all that land out there all by myself. And that makes a difference. Now I can quit when I want to. I have to, I can take my afternoon nap too. That makes great.
Yeah. But you're still healthy and you're still active.
Yeah.
You get around well.
The only thing that keeps me going is Swedish penicillin.
No, I think there's more to it than that. I think that you're a healthy man, and
I've always been. Never been in the hospital more than about a day and a half all my life, and that was just this last year when I was crazy enough to go out and spray.
Yeah.
Got gassed. Otherwise, I've never been in the hospital.
But I noticed that, or I have noticed once in a while that you use some snuff.
That's Swedish penicillin.
That's what that is.
Sure.
And when did you start to use that?
When I was about 15 years old. When I was a freshman in high school.
And still?
I haven't quit.
Haven't quit.
No. So it's a while.
Well, George, we thank you very much for taking this time to tell us about the things that happened in your life and to tell us what you think about a few things. We say thank you.
Yeah. Sure, welcome.
Yeah.